chances are pretty high that you've heard of Cave Story, since it was one of the early breakthroughs that brought the indie sector to the forefront of the gaming medium alongside the likes of Braid, La Mulana, and Super Meat Boy, although it predated all three. It went through two waves of popularity, one for its original freeware release and one for its premium remake, with versions of Cave Story now being available on Steam, 3DS, Switch, the Wii, and DSi shop channels, a number of operating systems, the original Xbox, the Genesis, the GP2X, the Dreamcast, and even a graphing calculator. Back in the internet Wild West days of 2004, when it first revolutionized both freeware and indie gaming, it had almost no contemporaries save exceptions like Gish and Eternal Daughter, which is why people were amazed that such an amazingly polished and massive product had been made by one guy and published for free download. I'm here today to talk about Pixel, the creator of Cave Story, and his numerous projects besides said game, which I have seen scant mention of around the internet. Pixel went to a technical institute and learned how to code in C languages, graduating sometime between 1996 and 2000 and learning the basics of game development from one of his dorm mates. Between the beginning of 1997 and the end of 1998, he developed Jill Jill, a strange arcade-style game about a cat bouncing into a lemon, Dog Wyvern, an unfinished shooter game where the player controls a dog with wings, Rain, a dynamic and interactive music experience in which raindrops fall on instruments, a music editor called Pio for his almost proprietary .pmd format, and the first version of Azarashi, a reaction test game in which the player must throw darts to stop 3 live seals on keychains from falling off screen. He started his old blog, which has since been taken down, then his new one, posting frequent updates on his experiences with game development as well as painted, sketched, and pixelated illustrations he made. He would develop Aika-chan, a simple underwater platformer in which the player controls a squid, in 1999 for the purpose of practicing for Cave Story, using .pmd files for the soundtrack and releasing the level editor on his site. Next, in 2000, he would improve on the .pmd format by authoring the .org format, which would later be used in Cave Story. By this time, he was juggling game development and household chores with a job doing code cleanup at a printer company, which he would commute to by bike daily. He also started drawing a series of comic strips called PX Manga around this time. Pixel improved Azarashi in 2001 and developed a sound effect program, PX Tone, as well as a mysterious program called PX Watch, which has since been removed from his site and has not been archived. Though he had seemingly been drawing the characters included for a long time beforehand, Pixel started publishing PX Manga on his site in 2002. Pixel developed a single-player reversey game, Kato AI, in 2003. In the same year, he made a simple arcade game about catching glasses, called Glasses, with some of his friends, and published a collection of 100 pieces of pixel art he had made known as 100 Cats. Since 1997, Pixel had been slowly and tortuously making uphill progress on Cave Story, which he released on his site in 2004 to acclaim and press coverage, even speaking at some conventions afterward and doing an interview with TigSource. By the time of the interview with TigSource, Cave Story, which would be translated by the Eon Genesis Translation Project in 2005, was already a groundbreaking piece of freeware, with a larger scope, more polish, and far greater popularity than virtually all freeware games ever made. Throughout 2004, Pixel made a number of pixel art profile pictures for himself. I don't know why I'm including that, it's just a random thing he did. After Cave Story, Pixel built on PX Tone and Org Maker with PX Tone Collage, a suite of proprietary sound editing programs he first released in 2005. While he would update it over time, a number of other games would follow, such as his space shooter Guxt in 2007 and online marksmanship versus game Alcantaras in 2009. Alcantaras and the later Soap Run would be Pixel's major experiments with online gameplay, although his now defunct server would crash quite often. 2010 was the beginning of a second period of significant activity from Pixel, seeing him work on the remake of Cave Story as well as the speedrunner Soap Run, and write the scenario for Nicholas Nygren's Night Sky. Cave Story and Aika-chan will receive more ports in 2011, such as Cave Story 3D and Aika-chan's 3DS version, and Pixel would remake Azarashi for the second time in 2012 for mobile, working on his iOS title Rockfish simultaneously. By this point in time, Pixel was married, had a kid, and decided to pursue game development full-time, quitting his job at the printer company to work on Cave Story 3D. Putting Rockfish on hold and eventually scrapping its development, Pixel worked on another cancelled game named Garo Blaster, which he would turn into the game Caro Blaster following his collaboration with the game's level designer, Kyoko Kawanaka, on the project. Caro Blaster released on the App Store and multiple PC storefronts in 2014, preceded by its spin-off demo game Pink Hour and followed by Pink Hour's sequel Pink Heaven in 2015, as well as a PS4 port in 2017. While Caro Blaster and Cave Story Plus have gotten Switch ports since then, Pink Heaven has been Pixel's latest released game as of the uploading of this video. One of Pixel's works I find the most interesting is the PX manga series of comics, mainly due to their mysterious nature. They feature 3 characters who appear in many Pixel works over time: the white cat Ame, the frog Karu, and the black cat Sasuke. The best description I can give is that they're kind of like the angriest dog in the world if they change the art every strip. No one really knows what the purposes of the comics were, as we don't have the context Pixel's friends, relatives, and classmates would have when looking at his blog back in 2002, so really it's just a giant barrel of questions that will forever go unanswered. However, you can see a lot of the beginnings of Garo Blaster and Caro Blaster here, the main trio of characters, the Negativist Legatia making an appearance. There are some common themes between the strips, like eating, violence, characters imagining secret sequences of events, mundane activities being portrayed in surreal ways. There's a lot of little hidden visual details, like the Azarashi crab showing up on a teacup or the squid from Aika-chan being in one panel for some reason. And there's a lot of these. Like, I'm gonna rattle off the whole list that I have right now. Kaoru appeared in Pixel's illustrations from 1998 to 2005, Azarashi 2001, PX Manga 100 Cats, Garo Blaster, Pink Hour, Pink Heaven, and Karo Blaster. Ame appeared in Pixel's illustrations 1998 to 2005, Azarashi 2001, PX Manga Kato AI 100 Cats, The Cancelled Garo Blaster, and Azarashi 2012. Sasuke appeared in Pixel's illustrations from 1998 to 2005, Azarashi 1998, PX Manga Kato AI, and Karo Blaster. Aika-chan appeared in Pixel's illustrations 1998 to 2005, Aika-chan, PX Manga, and Cave Story. The Azarashi crab appeared in Pixel's illustrations from 1998 to 2005, Azarashi 2001, and Aika-chan. Flying saucer using aliens appeared in Glasses, PX Manga, The Cancelled Garo Blaster, and Pink Heaven. Soap bars appeared as the basis for Balrog and Pooh Black and Cave Story, and as the soap runners in Soap Run. Finally, the Nagatavis Legatia appeared in PX Manga, Garo Blaster, and Karo Blaster. Also of note is that in Garo Blaster there's a continent shaped and colored like the Ocarina of Time, as well as one apparently covered in Nagatavis Legatia. Seeing as how people like watching me make a fool of myself, I shall now overanalyze the plot of a game about a frog shooting bugs. I think that Karo Blaster is an allegorical commentary on the unfulfilling nature of Pixel's job at the printer company and a criticism of the salaryman model in Japan. Karo represents Pixel himself as well as others in similar predicaments to him and works in custodial sciences, showing that he, like Pixel, is one who is paid to clean up others' messes and considered nothing more despite his fancy title. The Nagatavis Legatia represent pieces of legacy code that are impairing the teleporter computer's ability to function, hence why one must be defeated at the end of each level. As time goes on, the Legatia get more and more out of hand, eventually turning the company president into a violent monster, just as real-life business struggles put pressure on employers, making them irritable and harder to work with. The president's pet could be intended as the cause of the problem, perhaps a program that the employees and the president don't see eye to eye on, with the employees trying to covertly solve the problem, in this case trying to get rid of the pet. Stages like Train Station are meant to be glimpses into the stressful urban life that salarymen suffer through. In the case of Train Station, commute to work in crowded trains is common in Japan. Zangu mode makes the allegory far more blunt, as the protagonist literally fights a printer and the head of the company that created them after doing tons of overtime work before going on the company vacation, all thanks to said printer beginning to produce an endless supply of work for him to do. Kaoru's nigh-on-suicidal devotion to his work despite a break being given to him shows the work above all else attitude expected of salarymen. The president's story about their former employment is meant to show that the work-producing machine, a symbol for advancements in corporate operation and structure, has two sides to it, and that it provides more jobs and prevents layoffs while simultaneously dooming workers to unhealthy lives of constant overtime and potential death by overworking. The employees and president of Cat and Frog Incorporated are never shown as bad people, and the work-producing machine and its creator, while displayed as negative forces, have some positive effects on the world, so it doesn't really seem like anyone or anything in particular is being blamed for the destructive nature of the salaryman model, just a number of factors working together. Something else I've noticed that the typical salaryman lifestyle and attitude are also eerily similar to those shown by a large portion of game developers, Japanese or otherwise. A good example of this is Masahiro Sakurai, who is infamous for his absurd devotion to his work. Running concurrently to Kaoru's status as a salaryman, the protagonist of the Pink games, Komomo, follows the Japanese notion of an office lady performing secretarial duties and odd jobs when asked to, afraid of being fired and maintaining the positive attitude stereotypically applied to people of her socioeconomic standing. Komomo has to deal with all the expectations and limitations placed on her as an office lady with almost no hope of promotion and an obligation to cheer Kaoru on. Also worth a mention is how Komomo is expected to pick gentleness over strength in order to get the best ending in Pink Heaven, where she finds a love interest and other expectation placed upon office ladies. Although this is only speculation, it is entirely possible that Kyoko Kawanaka, who designed the levels for both Karo Blaster and the Pink games and wrote the Pink games plots, made the scenario mirror either her personal work experience or the experience of a friend or relative. I made this video because I respect Pixel. In Japan, the for-profit indie scene is almost non-existent, with only a few standouts like Onion Games, Moppin, and Nigoro to spur it forward, although communities like the freeware and mobile development sectors exist with greater numbers of creators in their ranks. Pixel is someone who had a vision, spent years struggling through the trials of his life preparing for it, and executed on it, making a number of unique freeware creations along the way. In a sense, Pixel is partially responsible for the popularity of Western indie games today, and it's great to have seen him finally move on to full commercial projects after all this time. Just like Nigoro and Kairosoft, he's finally gotten the chance to pursue game development as a full-time career, showing that anyone with enough inspiration and grit could reach the same heights with continued effort and devotion. Pixel should be known for more than just Cave Story, because Cave Story was just one part of his long-term voyage as a developer, albeit a particularly impactful and noteworthy one. Recently, Pixel ported Karo Blaster to the Nintendo Switch after its prior ports to PC and PS4, so we know Studio Pixel is still going strong. Thanks go to both cavestory.org for preserving Pixel's works and making them much more available, and BrambleBro for finding a ton of secrets in Karo Blaster and making an amazing video about it. While I was scripting this video, something else popped up. A video showed up as an ad on my YouTube feed on the 21st of May, coming from way out of left field. It's called AI Learns to Play Tic-Tac-Toe. Apparently, this channel, Curly Brace, had existed since April of 2017, but only uploaded beginning on the 18th of May. It had a coinciding Twitter account and an Instagram as well. It appears somewhat likely that this could be Pixel, as the machine learning AI seems like something he would experiment with. Pixel has never voiced any qualms about his rights agreements with Nicholas, suggesting a good degree of copyright ownership of Cave Story and his content, and the voices used in the video were both text-to-speech, one Japanese and one English. This isn't mentioning that the channel's location was set as the United States either. By the 27th of May, the channel had been closed and the video deleted. I feel stupid for not having saved it, but proof exists that the video was uploaded, and the questions just keep piling up. The YouTube channel was started in 2017, but it wasn't used until 2019. What were the creator's intentions? On the Twitter account, 3 tweets have been made, but only one is visible. What were the other tweets? The Twitter has a link for where the channel used to be, as well as a link to the video, but there's nothing on the Instagram. Why was the only video Curly Brace uploaded an ad? And why was the channel deleted less than a week after its first upload? Was it the channel owner's decision, or the consequence of possible copyright infringement? Given that they had a connected Twitter and Instagram, Curly clearly had further intentions for their channel. Chances are good that we'll never know the answers to these questions. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Wowee!